going to look at the experiment that I really love. It's a really nice one to do with children because everyone can have a go at it, and actually it looks fantastic as well. So this is the lava lamp experiment. Today you will need a plastic bottle. This is just a spring water bottle where we've taken the wrapper off of the outside so that you can see the experiment that's going to happen on the inside of the bottle. Going to need a jug of water. Going to need a vitamin C effervescent tablet. They're sold in supermarkets, pharmacies, all over the place, so when you're doing your essential shopping you can get those. And some food colouring. Now I'm using red today. You can use whatever colour you like. The best colours are probably blue and red to use because the experiment looks a bit better when you use those colours. And we're also going to need some vegetable oil for the experiment too. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just move these out of the way. I might suggest that you may well want to put some newspaper down for this experiment because it can be a bit messy, and if you're doing experiments with younger children, sometimes they might knock a few things, or if you're like me, you might knock a few things as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour my water into my bottle. Now, that's kind of, it's full, so I don't know if you can see, but I'll use my finger to demonstrate. I've filled it up to around about here. Measurements are not really necessary in this experiment. It's absolutely fine. You just want enough water so that you can get, when you mix it with the food dye, enough food dye in there to go up into the oil, and I'll show you more about that in a moment. Now, I'm going to use a filter funnel to pour my oil, because it can be a bit messy. The other option is you could do this experiment outside in the garden. There's no issue with doing that. So, pour in some oil. You want a good layer of oil because you will see the experiment working mostly in this section of the bottle. So, going to remove my filter funnel, and I am left with two very separate layers. So this layer here is the water layer, and this layer here is the oil layer. Now the oil layer does not mix with the water layer, so it's important to kind of point that out to children because that's important that they know that some liquids won't mix. And also, think about why the oil is sitting on top of the water, and that's to do with something called density. Now, the water is more dense than the oil, and the oil is less dense than the water, and that's why it sits on top of the water. So that's something you can explore more, and we'll do some more clips and videos that you can look at to explore density further later on down the line. So, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few drops of my food colouring into my bottle, and you can see the food colouring is sinking down through the oil, and it might be good, especially with some of the older children, to ask why they think it's sinking down and link that with density. So it's sinking down into the water because it's the same density as the water, so it's more dense than the oil, okay? And that's the language it's really good to use, get them using more dense or less dense, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up our vitamin C effervescent tablet. Okay, and you can see it's quite large, and what I'd like you to do is split it in half. Okay, pop one half in, just drop it in, and then what you should see is some fizzing, some bubbles. Okay, it's a good time now to ask the children that you're working with, what do you see? What is happening? Those are really good questions, because scientific observation is a very important kind of skill in terms of science learning and understanding. And also we can talk to them about, okay, you see fizzing, you see bubbles. Okay, what's causing the bubbles? And we can talk to them about a gas is obviously being made. So if something new is being made, something different's happening, we know that there's a chemical reaction going on here, okay? A chemical reaction and not a physical reaction, okay? So let's put the other Alka-Seltzer tablet in there. And we should start to see more bubbling and the lava lamp start to come to life. If you find that your lava lamp is not bubbling very much, it's a good idea to add another vitamin C effervescent tablet. So you can see it's starting to work a bit more now around the sides. And you can see those kind of bubbles, those big globules or bubbles of water coming up through. I might just add another one or another half to make that reaction a little bit more vigorous. If I add another half in there. At this point, the children that you're working with will probably be looking at it and saying, wow, that's so cool, because obviously it is. But it's really a good time to say, well, what's happening? Why do you think this might be happening? And have a chat with them about what they see, because again, they can see blobs coming up to the top, and hopefully they might be able to notice that those blobs, those red blobs, are coming back down again. So they're sinking back down. And a good question to ask is, why are those blobs going up to the surface? And then ask them why those blobs are going back down. And the answer is, the chemical reaction that's occurring due to the Alka-Seltzer tablets in the water is actually generating or creating carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is allowing some of the water to be lifted up through in small bubbles into the oil because it is allowing it to become less dense. So that gas is lifting it up through that more dense oil up to the surface, and you can see here that there are some gas bubbles and some kind of foam that's being generated here. So what happens is those bubbles go right up to the surface, they hit the surface, the carbon dioxide is released, and then the water becomes more dense again and sinks back down into the water layer. Okay, so you can carry on. This is a reaction that you can do time and time again because it's you can put as many Alka-Seltzers in as you like, and the gas will be released into the atmosphere. Don't put a lid on it, because obviously you'll create a pressure trap, if you like, and you might have a lot of fizzing and a bit of a mess. If you shake the bottle when you've got the lid on, you'll find that it kind of doesn't look particularly pleasant for a while, but the oil and the water will separate out after a little bit of time again. Okay, so that's something you might want to keep on the windowsill and have a go at, and maybe use it to inform some writing, maybe use it to kind of write a plan for how you carried out your experiment, and you could use that as something to help you with some kind of free writing for children over the lockdown period. Okay, so that is my lava lamp experiment. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please do feel free to ask us any questions and email in if you'd like any support or help with this. Have a good day. Bye.